What's going on, everybody? Draken1221 here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to join in on the hype train and the rest of the YouTube community, and we're going to take a deep dive into some of my favorite picks in Double Masters 2022, as well as some of the picks that I think are just cool cards to pick up if you're trying to maintain or build a commander collection. Also some good cards just to have laying around. They're going to be my personal recommendations, as well as the price points that I would buy these cards at. But before we get started, as always, a channel pulse check. Today, we are at 145 subscribers. I cannot be in debt to you guys enough. I love the engagement. I love the comments. I love when you guys watch, subscribe, and engage with my videos. And to see a surge in about 30 to 35 subscribers in the last 10 days, that's an achievement for me, and it means the world to me. So thank you to everybody who hits the subscribe button, who clicks and watches, who likes the video, and who comments. You guys are amazing. If that is all you guys do with my channel, is just watch a video, I'm much appreciated. But I can't just dwell on this enough. 35 subscribers in the last 10 days is the fastest my channel has ever accumulated. So thank you guys for watching and subscribing. I appreciate it. The next thing here is we can't go forward without touching base on the TCG player affiliate link below. I'll keep it in the description for you guys, but this is one way if you guys like to watch my videos or you want to support me. I'm not a big patron guy, you know, but this is one way that you guys can support the channel, you know, get a little bit of income and some revenue back into it to kind of keep moving forward with things without costing you any extra money. So what I'm going to ask is all of you guys watching the video, if you could, copy and paste the link in the description or just open it up in your web browser. And if you're using Chrome on a desktop, just hit this little star right there. What it's going to do is going to bookmark the page, and anytime you want to order anything from tcgplayer.com, whether it's some of these new Double Masters 2022 cards, you want to order Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, deck boxes, you name it, I'll actually get a cut of any of the order that you place. In addition, those of you mobile users out there, if you're using Chrome on an Android phone or on an iPhone, you could bookmark it the same way. Those of you using iPhone probably can't see a ton here, but there's a little share button at the bottom of your screen. You tap that, and if you scroll down, there's actually a bookmark button. You can actually bookmark my TCG Player affiliate link right on your phone. But without further ado, let's talk about some of my favorite cards in Double Masters 2022. So as we go through this, you'll see a lot of the same cards. So we're going to look at the base model versus like the borderless model. And I wanted to take a look at a lot of those cards for two reasons. You know, there's two kinds of people who want to get into the reprints of the set. One is you don't have any copy of the card and you just want to get a copy for your collection. So you just want to see if you could hit the card at the lowest price. Some of us, like myself, I do have the majority of cards in Double Masters 2022. I don't necessarily want to just buy another base copy, but I might want a little fancy foily version or a borderless version. So we're going to take a look and we're going to go through my favorite picks and at the price points that I personally would buy these cards at. That way you can kind of gauge where you would want to pick them up. Yeah. For example, Phyrexian Altar here, you know, we're going to go through and we're going to see, you know, what would I buy a borderless Phyrexian Altar at and what would I be comfortable. This is not financial advice. This is not investment advice. This is just, you want to pump some cards in your collection. You have a little bit of disposable income and you're just kind of an average Joe like myself. You don't have infinite money to spend on Magic cards, but you do got a little bit of extra cash floating around and you want to invest it in your hobby, but you want to maximize your dollar and you want to purchase the cards at the best price point. So that's what we're going to go through today. So we're going to look at Phyrexian Altar here. I do have this one. This should go over here. So we have the regular base version as well as the borderless version. So we're not going to talk about the pre-order prices about these cards a ton. But Phyrexian Altar, basically it's a 3-mana artifact. It's a free sack outlet, and it goes infinite with basically anything. It is a really awesome card. I have this in my Shadowborn Apostle deck right now. So I already have a copy of Phyrexian Altar. If I were to look to buy a Phyrexian Altar borderless, I would not be mad paying these pre-order prices. Again, we're not going to touch base on those a ton, but I would probably pay about $60, $50 to $60 for a borderless copy. Now, as we go through this video, they are going to be on the pretenses that the boxes are readily available, stores are stocked, there's no short printing, there's no production errors, which I think there is actually production errors with this set causing a shortage in just boxes overall. And I think even the collector boosters are delayed. But we're going to go off the pretense that the product is available to purchase. So I would be looking to pick up a borderless Phyrexian Altar. Now, if you just want the base version, you just want to slot it in your deck, you just want to have one for the collection just to be safe. I purchased this card about 2 years ago. I purchased it for about $40. Phyrexian Altar, it is a bit niche, but it is an insanely powerful card. If you can snipe this in the realm of the low 30s, I think that would be a good buy for Phyrexian Altar, and I would be happy with that. Now, if you bought this card for $30 and it dipped down to $25, $22, I wouldn't be mad at that either, because it is a card worthy of, I think it's a card worthy of $50, to be honest, but you're going to have a lot more in circulation, so you won't actually have to pay the premium price for it. So Phyrexian Altar, if you're looking to put this in the deck or have one slotted in the collection, look to snipe the borderless in the $50-ish range. Look to get the regular base model in the low 30s. I think that would be a comfortable price point. Next, just kind of an overall good card in EDH for the format. We have Consecrated Sphinx, 2 red and 4. It's a flyer, and then whenever an opponent draws a card, you draw 2. Just kind of one of those powerhouse staples of the format in blue. We have the borderless model here, and we have just the base model here. So Consecrated Sphinx is one of those cards that when it sees a reprint, it really tanks hard. For the borderless one, this one's a little bit tough to say because there's not a ton of variants. It did get a Secret Lair reprint. The borderless ones I might be a little higher on just because I love the artwork. But if you can hit this at $30, I think $30 for the borderless Consecrated Sphinx if you're looking for a little extra pizzazz for your collection. As far as the base model, I don't know. This card's been reprinted a couple times at this point. It is good. There will be some demand for it. $20, $15. I think if you can get this at 15, it would be awesome. But 20, I wouldn't be mad to pay for Consecrated Sphinx either. It could very well go lower. And again, I know I'm a bit more aggressive on these prices just because of the fact there's so much hype behind it. But again, if I'm saying buy this card at 20, but it settles at 15 and you buy it for 20, I mean, that's not a bad deal either, because it's not going to settle at 15 for long. Again, not financial advice. This is just the advice that I like to share as far as someone, who doesn't have infinite money to spend on Magic, but likes to build a collection and just get the best bang for my buck. So we're going to look through it again through the average Joe lens. And this is what I would advise my friends. If friends or family said, hey, Draken, what are you looking to buy a Consecrated Sphinx for? $20, $15 for a base model, I think is fair. Next, we're going to go into kind of the big boy, the cash grab, the one that everybody wants. Is going to be Imperial Seal. Borderless and regular version. Obviously, the pre-order prices are through the roof right now. I don't expect it to hold. Imperial Seal is, let's kind of in a vacuum, it is scarce, and it is kind of a chase card that people are going to want for their EDH decks, right? But in a vacuum, it's just worse Demonic Tutor. So you're always going to purchase or slot in Vampiric Tutor. You're always going to slot Vampiric Tutor in before this. And even Demonic Tutor costing 1 more, it goes straight to your hand. So I still think Demonic is better. But again, for those mono black decks, or those 2-color decks, or those decks that just want to maximize tutors, you're going to want a copy of Imperial Seal. In a perfect world, Dreamland, 50-ish, 60-ish for Imperial Seal, I think is fair. To an extent, Vampiric Tutor, I think with all of its reprints now is in the $35, $40-ish range. So you're thinking 1 reprint on Imperial Seal, $50, $60 is more than fair. The borderless, I don't even know what to put on that. I would say 90. I would cop an Imperial Seal borderless for $80 to $90. Give or take. But again, base copy, $50, $60 kind of after the dust settles, I think will be fair. Will it settle around that price point? I don't know. The base copy could very well settle for $100, 150, just depending on ratios and pull rates. I mean, we don't know all that, right? The data that I've collected as far as where these cards were settled are just kind of based on cards in the same realm as it, as well as like other sets. And you got to understand whether it's a short print run or not, or there's a supply shortage or whatever. This set's going to sell off the shelves, and I would be surprised if there's any boxes left at the end of the day to purchase. But I digress. I think in those price ranges, in a perfect world, I would buy those 2 cards at that. Next, one of my favorites. If you watch this channel, I do lean a little bit into tribal decks. You got my Ur-Dragon, Sliver deck, Yuriko. So Cavern of Souls, I actually just bought a Zendikar Rising Expedition. I'm kind of trying to round out that set. I'm only missing 1 or 2 Zendikar Rising Expeditions, but this is a nice card. And someone like myself who has, I have 1 or 2, I think I have 2 base models as well as the Expedition now. I'm not looking to get a Cavern of Souls in the base model. If you're in my boat, you're looking to get maybe a borderless one if you go. So as far as Cavern of Souls goes, hopefully the dust settles around $30 to $40. I think $30 for a Rainbow Land in Tribal is a very good price point. 30 to 40 is where I would shoot for. Again, this seems like a card that can drift up. And I know there's etched foils and stuff along the way, but those are relative. We're not going to talk about the etched foiling a ton. As well as the borderless one, it's sitting at 95 pre-order. I don't think it's as nice looking as the Expedition, but I think $60, $65 for a borderless Cavern of Souls, wouldn't be out of the realm of unfair. Again, it is all around a tribal staple. We've gotten some meaningful reprints of it in the past. It's just gone so long that they kind of shoot up. So when it comes to Cavern of Souls, I can see that happening again. But you got to kind of understand that the set's going to be open as much as it possibly can. Not only do we have regular Cavern of Souls, we have borderless and etched foil slotted in there as well. So whereas previous reprint sets, there was just kind of the one version. If you got it, you got it. Now you kind of have 3 chances to get these cards. So I think Cavern of Souls in that $30 to $40 range is where it's at. So probably the craziest one next to Imperial Seal that everybody has been hoping for and talking about is Dockside Extortionist. Now, I will put a little asterisk in this. We all know how strong it is. So just be cognizant of when you purchase cards like this that they can be banned by the rules committee kind of at any time. It's one of those things that everybody thought, hey, Dockside is just too strong. But its scarcity kind of kept it at bay. Now there's going to be a lot more available. So just, again, use that information as you will. But right now we have a Dockside, we have the borderless and the base model. So brand new artwork in both realms here. So what I would target these at, if you are looking to get the new one, as you can see here, there is no pre-orders for Dockside. They've sold. And they've all sold at about $50. So I would say if you can get a new Dockside at $50, that's not a terrible deal. The older versions are going for between $45 and $50 anyway. Obviously, as more of these hit the market, it'll bite. I think if I were to pay $50 for a Dockside Extortionist today, I would not be upset. So use that information. But I think the lowest you'll be able to pin to purchase this thing would probably be about $40. I don't see anybody being able to grab a copy much lower than $40. If it were to go $30, $35, that's when a price point is sweet enough to where people will buy multiple copies for multiple decks, driving the price up anyway. So again, I think $40. I think even $50 at this point. Just looking at the sales history is a steal. And looking, if you go view all versions here, this base Dockside is still $48. So again, you can't go wrong. It is a card that if you spent $50 and it settled at $35 for a year, I still wouldn't be mad about it because it's just so strong, and I think it's worth the $50, and I could see it drifting higher than that anyway. Borderless stuff is hard to tell. If we say regular base Dockside is at $40 to $50, again, I would say 60 to 70 on this would be appropriate. It's got really, really nice borderless artwork. I gotta say, I'm looking at the borderless stuff. Number one, because I have a lot of the cards already, at least 1 or 2 copies of everything. But number two, like, just the borderless artwork in this set is fantastic and flavorful. And I am a whore for very, very nice looking cards. In past card games, it's always been foils, but with Magic, the foil quality is here nor there. So I really enjoyed the borderless artwork. So again, fancy Dockside, awesome alternate artwork. If you can get this at 60 to 70 bucks, that would be happy. Mana Drain, one of the tail end spoilers of the set. Currently, I have 2 copies of Mana Drain. I actually kind of just bought one for about 40 bucks 2 weeks ago. But I'm not too sad. It's Mana Drain. Again, if I buy Mana Drain for 40 and this card settles at 35, 30 bucks, I'm still not mad. I think it's $45 good. But if you're looking to buy a base copy of Mana Drain, if you can get this for 25 after, because again, we're pre-ordering at 35 and it looks like they are selling at 35. So maybe I could see the pre-orders drift up to 40 again. But if you can get this card at 25 or 30 bucks, I think that's a steal. And I know 25 might be aggressive, but it very well, if opened enough, it could hit that price point and buy as many as you can, because you could just throw these in any blue deck. It's insane. I love Mana Drain. But again, at 35 bucks, not bad either. We go to the borderless version. Tough to say. Let's say Mana Drain, the base model, settles at 30. 50 bucks. I would say 50 bucks on a borderless Mana Drain, maybe 60, depending on how rare these borderless are and how many collector's boosters, yada, yada, yada. But very, very nice artwork. I love, again, I can't harp on these borderless cards enough. I really do enjoy them. So I would say 60 bucks on the borderless if you're looking for something more premium. Sensei's Divining Top, one of the cards of the set I don't have that I've been looking to buy for a couple of years. I just never found a reason. Like, my Yuriko deck was the closest reason I had to maybe buy one. But Sensei's Divining Top, right now, 30. It looks like they're selling at about 30 bucks. We have the borderless here at 60. Transparency, I might pre-order a borderless at 60, because you got to think top at its highest was for the base model prior to a reprint or two was hitting up there. If you can, again, I don't think 30 is bad. I'm hoping it settles around the lowest Divining Top I think has ever hit is in like the low 20s. So if you could snipe a Divining Top for 20, oh God, 18. If you see 18, it's a steal. But if you can hit top for 20 or low 20s, I think that's a steal. Borderless, I'm going to be honest, I'm debating on paying 60 for one. But if I can pay 40 or 45 for a borderless, I might hold out, because it could drop to that price. And just again, the artwork is gorgeous. I'm looking to take a different route with my Yuriko deck. So again, that's why I'm looking and getting a top. But this is one of the cards I don't have. Again, low 20s on this is a steal. Mid 40s to 50, I think, is decent on that. Even if 35, that would be nice. Force of Negation, one of the other cards I don't have that I kind of wanted to slot in my Yuriko deck, because I'm trying to power it up, make some changes to it. Force of Negation's at 41.85 right now. The borderless is 120. So given price history and you know, it's only had like 1 or 2 other printings, I think, before that. If we look at all versions here, yeah, I think they had an etched foil version in Modern Horizons 2. If you can get Force of Negation for $25, I think $25 on something like Force of Negation is worth it. Gives it room to grow. You're not feeling super bad. But again, I could easily see the pre-order on something like this not going down too far. It is only a rare in this set, so that's kind of something. But if you can get this thing for 25 to 30 bucks, I think that's a really good price for Force of Negation, given variants and things like that. The borderless one, it's hard to say. 60 to 70, I think, is fair. Again, I try to base things off percentages. It's usually like 2x or 2.5x for the borderless version, but I guess it depends how in demand something like this is. It is gorgeous. There hasn't been anything like that existed before, so I could see this still selling for like 80 to 90 after pre-orders. You know, again, I'm being a little bit, some conservativeness with my prices, some aggressiveness based on popularity, but I can see this one being popular because other formats will play it. You know, it's a 4 of in those formats, and so, you know, so I could see this selling more frequently. All right, another big one here, something everybody's been asking for, Smothering Tithe. We have this really, really nice borderless one. I mean, they came out, I believe it was they released artwork on a Judge promo a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was really nice, but I think this blows that out of the water. This is another must-have for me just because, again, I mean, you can't deny this. These borderless cards are gorgeous, and if you're a artwork hoard like myself, you will really enjoy these. So 25 now. If Smothering Tithe settles at 15 to 20, snap buy. It's a steal, goes in all your white decks. Let's say it settles at $20. You can buy 5 for $100 and slot them into 5 different decks. I think that's great. So Smothering Tithe, if it settles at 15 for a minute, again, snap buy at 15. It's just too good of a card, and sometimes it's more than price point. Again, you know, if they were 15 each, you're not, you know, most people will buy one, but there's a portion of the market like myself that will buy $15. You know, I can just buy 6 of them and just throw them in all my white decks and have some extra left over. So you got to think of that as a variable that people will buy, especially if they hit these all-time lows, multiple copies, thus affecting the supply. Gorgeous Smothering Tithe. It's at $43 right now. It is selling. It's sold a bunch of copies today. 35. I think 35 on this. I don't see this going down too far because it is gorgeous artwork. A lot of people are going to like it. Again, Smothering Tithe hasn't had many reprints outside of this either. There's really no fancy version of Smothering Tithe aside from the Judge foil coming out. Then you have the Etch foil that is being released with this as well. But I'd pay 35 to 40 for this artwork easily. 30 would be ideal, but 35 I think is a good sweet spot for something like this. Vedalken Orrery, I don't want to talk about this one a ton. This is like a Command Zone signature card right here. 4-mana artifact, gives everything flash. $12, $13 right now. $8 is $8 to $10 is what I would pay for Vedalken Orrery. Very good utility. In the right deck, it is very, very strong. $8 to $10. I see this card being a good buy. The borderless version, you know, right now they're going for 35. I don't think, no, they're still selling. Well, they haven't sold in a day or two. So I can see this $20. I mean, I really wouldn't pay more than $20. I mean, it's nice, the borderless. But if my base model is 8 to 10, you know, I'm not going to pay more than 15 to 20 for the borderless. Bloom Tender. Oh, man, one of my favorite picks in this set. A couple years ago, I bought one. I think they were 25 at the time, and then they shot up to 40. But, you know, Bloom Tender, $10. I think about $10 is where you want a good, solid mana dork. So 2 mana, again, it's good in, you know, all my Dragon players out there. Obviously, we enjoy cards like Bloom Tender. It can tap for up to 5 mana. So, but I think $10 for a mana dork like this, 8 to 10 is fair. If you're looking for a borderless version, 15. I think $15, $18 is fair for something like this. It's nice. Bloom Tender is a good card. It is very niche, so I would say $15 is what I would settle for a fancy Bloom Tender. The decks that want it, but the decks that don't, they really don't, and those are kind of few and far in between. Oracle Mul Daya. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this one. I actually bought one of these about 6 months ago for about $12. Not mad about it either. So I'm not in need of a base model. Oracle, $5 to $7 I think is a sweet spot for this. Maybe even less. I can see this card going to like $4. But it's very good. It allows you to play additional lands. Good for those big mana decks. Good for decks that want to ramp. And then we have the full art version here. I wouldn't pay any more than 12 to 15 for something like this. Looks very nice, but again, it doesn't mean that much to me. And the base model looks very good kind of already. I kind of like the style of artwork that is done in this. Also, this looks very nice, but again, for such a niche card, I can't see myself or anybody else really paying more than, you know, $15-ish. Awesome pick here, Teferi's Protection. Those of you who enjoy counter spells, but don't want to kind of give the feel bad sometimes, as I always slot in cards like Teferi's Protection and Heroic Intervention, which are essentially counter spells, but they just don't feel as bad to some of the table. But in a nutshell, Teferi's Protection is probably the best kind of responsive protection card in the format, or one of them. So right now we have the base model for $26. They were hovering, I think, mid-30s last time. You have the really cool Secret Lair artwork here. Teferi's Protection, I would buy it $20. I might actually, if pre-order, well, let's take a look. $20, $5 shipping. Okay, so it's about 25 bucks. I would aim $20 if you can get it, you know, 18, 17, you know, a couple weeks or a month after release. That would be ideal, but I wouldn't feel bad paying 20 bucks for Teferi's Protection. Goodbye. Now, the borderless version, on the other hand, there's not a ton of really crazy models of this card. So this is kind of new. The artwork looks great. Again, these borderless cards. 30. I would pay 30, 35 bucks for something like this. Again, you're paying a premium for the borderless, but this is if you want something a little bit nicer. Crucible of Worlds. Again, I don't want to spend a ton of time on something like this because it is a little bit niche. Basically, 3-mana artifact. You can play lands from your graveyard. Good in those lands matter strategies. A lot of fetch lands, Lord Windgrace, things like that. I think I was testing this in my Dragon deck at one point just because you are playing all the fetches. But 25 bucks right now. I would pay 18 to 20 on something like Crucible of Worlds, but only if you, one, really needed it for a deck, or two, you're like, you know what, I see myself playing this sometime in the next couple of years, but just not right now. Slotting it into your binder somewhere and sitting on it. You could do that at 20 bucks or 18 or $15. I think that's a safe bet just because of the niche playability. But again, without a reprint, I mean, it's kind of almost so niche at times where it just creeps up there. And if you're like me, you automatically think fetch lands on something like this, and you could slot it in basically any deck that has enough fetch lands. The borderless one, on the other hand, I could see people paying 35 to almost maybe 40 for something like this. It does look very nice. Again, it does become very niche, but maybe more of them make their way into circulation. So 30-ish, 30 to 40. I know it's a big range on something like that, but it kind of all depends. The pre-order sales is really none there at 60 bucks, so we'll see what happens. All right, so Dragon people, again, Dragonlord Dromoka, and if you know me, you know this is probably the most excited I was for the spoilers of the set. Kind of shows how basic and predictable I am, but when I saw the artwork on this Dragonlord Dromoka, I was super, super excited. So Dragonlord Dromoka, I believe, was about 25 bucks prior to this. So they're pre-ordering at 17. Base model, I would say 12 bucks is fair. It's a 6-mana dragon, so it does cost a lot to cast. It is a dragon. People love dragons. Flying lifelink, can't counter it, and your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. I could see this settling between like 12 bucks, maybe $10. And I would be comfortable paying that. I would be comfortable recommending a friend to pay something like that. I'm a little biased, so I might pay a little bit more for something like this just because of me and my kind of love for dragons. But again, this borderless artwork, I would pay infinity for this. There's only foils on the market right now. There's not a ton of data. Let's say base model settles at 12. I would pay 25 to 30 for this. I think that might even be a little high because I could see people ripping packs of the collector boosters and this being one of their mythics and them just being super sad just because it's just not one of the big names. So I can see this kind of being one of the lower end mythics that people don't get excited about and just try to dump. So it might even be much cheaper than that. So again, look at Richard Kane Ferguson with this fantastic, fantastic. Forbidden Orchard, so again, kind of my, nod to the Ur Dragon and Slivers and all my 5-color, 4-color decks out there. Forbidden Orchard, it's basically a rainbow land, and when you tap it, you give somebody a 1/1. It literally, the 1/1 is irrelevant most of the time. All-time low, I think this card was in the realm of 18 to 20 bucks recently. If you could snipe this card for less than $10, 8 would be perfect, but less than 10 bucks, just buy as many as you can. If this card somehow settles in the $5 range, now it's more budget friendly, and all of your budgety or 3-color decks or 4-color decks or even 2-color decks, and you now have an additional like rainbow land for those. So again, if you could get this for like $8, $7, or even $5, that is a perfect buy. I don't know. They're not actually selling at the 12 bucks very much. I mean, they've sold 2 in 2 days, so that's not super good as far as something like Dockside that's sold 1 million copies in the last 2 days. So this can settle at 5. But if you bought it for 7 bucks, I wouldn't be mad. Now this is cool, awesome borderless version. I'm gonna want to get this for my decks. I don't know if I'd pay more than 15 though. 15 bucks, I think, to 20 is fair. 18, I think I would pay. Just because the base model will settle so low, I don't see this commanding that high price. And again, of the rares, I value like real estate and lands in Magic more than the average player. When I build decks, the first thing I buy is like the land base if I'm buying in chunks. And when I build decks, I prioritize the land base and building that. So I will value lands more than the average player, but I can't justify paying more than like 15 bucks for this. Again, it's a good rainbow land. It looks nice, but again, it's a rare in the set too, so they're just going to be ripped and shredded dime a dozen. Again, kind of in the same vein, City of Brass. So they're pre-ordering at $12, which is another rainbow land. I think this is a great price. If you could buy for City of Brass for similar price as Forbidden Orchard, 8 to 10 bucks, I think that's a fair buy. Same thing with City of Brass borderless, 15 to 20, I think is a fair. Gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. We don't have all the City of Brasses recently too were like $20, $25. So it's really nice to see this card come down. And if it gets low enough, picking up a couple for those, 3-color decks that you have and those 4-color decks, and really slot in some good mana fixing. So Anguished Unmaking, not super exciting. This is more of just like a recommendation. Like if you don't have it, get this. Or if you have a friend you're looking to help build a deck with, and they're missing some single target removal. So this is just an overall, like, if this card hits like $1 or $2, just buy as many as you can, just because it's got such utility. It's like one of the best removal spells in the game. It's 3 mana, so it's kind of where we want to be for killing any permanent, and it exiles. So you got to be in black and white, but it's just kind of overall around. I think this is in both of my 5-color decks just because it is versatile. It's pre-ordering in the realm of $6 right now, but if this card settles at like $2, I could even see it maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I can see this card hitting $1. I think it's too good. But if it settles at $2, buy a handful. Tell your friends because they're gonna need it. And need deck that plays black and white. So this is kind of just a cool buy pick. Rampant Growth. It's the really nice. I know some of the commons and maybe uncommons in the set too. They're doing the borderless treatment on. So again, I'm kind of all for these, but. Pre-ordering for about $5 now. I don't know. I want to pay more than like $1 or $2. I mean, it is a Rampant Growth at the end of the day. It looks very nice, but it's a Rampant Growth. Just a cool little side pick. A couple bucks to round out your order. Same goes, well, not the same, similar vein, I guess, for Chaos Warp. Most Chaos Warps right now are like $1 or $2, maybe $3, depending on the model. It is a rare, though. I don't know if it's been a rare. I don't know if it's been upgraded to a rare or what. But it is a rare in this set. This artwork is goofy. It's awesome. It's funny. Pre-ordering for $20, not really selling, which is good. At the end of the day, it's a Chaos Warp, and I would only pay like, at max, I would only pay like $6 or $7 for it. It looks really nice, but again, Chaos Warp is like $1 right now, maybe less in some cases. So to pay $20 for the borderless version is a bit aggressive. Maybe I'd cap out like absolute most $10, but $5, $6, $7 is where I would want to be. But I do enjoy the artwork. It's very goofy. A nod to my Dragon family out there. Wasitora, as you know, as of right now, this is still slotted in my Dragon deck. I haven't quite slotted in some of the new cards from the D&D set, so things can change. But Wasitora is a good little pseudo removal piece that can also put some bodies on the board. If you don't have one and you want to try it out in your Dragon deck, don't buy it now. I think it'll settle at $1. I think this is, unfortunately, not a ton of utility, very narrow, almost bulk rare status to some people. I could see people shredding this and throwing it to the side. Again, I'd pay $1, $2 for it. But the foil etch version, again, these pre-order prices are asinine. Don't pay attention to those. $80 I think is nuts. I'd pay $5. I'd pay $5 or less, and $5 is being a little aggressive just because I'm a little biased towards this card, in a good way. So I'd pay a little bit more than the average player, but $5 for a foil etch or less is where I would want to be. Villainous Wealth. This is just a pick just because I'm a fan of Sultai and I want to build more Sultai decks. Right now I only have a Yorick deck. But this is just one of my favorite really big, fancy endgame spells. 3 mana and X. Target player exiles the top X cards of the library, and you can cast them out without paying their mana cost. I wouldn't pay more than a couple bucks for a cool new foil etched version. But it's just something like spells like this are just like the epitome of EDH. Big, flashy things. You get to play random cards. It's just in the spirit of the format, and something I wanted to highlight. I just think it's really cool, and I'd pay a couple bucks for it. My boy, the Shadowborn Apostle, is finally being reprinted. They were about $5-ish, maybe $6. It looks like they're pre-ordering for about $4. It's tough to say where this will settle, because if you look here, you can. So if you're building a deck with this, obviously that's why you would buy it. You need about 30, give or take a couple, right? You probably wouldn't want to play less than like 25 or 26. It's hard to find a seller at a reasonable price for a lot of these cards that have all of them. Like, for example, if you wanted to get 30 right now, you got to buy them from 2 different sellers. So that's what kind of makes this card hard to buy, because you could buy 5 at, let's say the card settles at $1.50 for now. All right. Well, for math's sake, we'll say it settles at $2. You might be able to buy 10 from a seller at $2, and then 5 from a seller at $2.50, and then another 5 from a seller at $3. So it's really hard to dictate. But if you could pay between like $1.50 to $2.50 per copy, I think that's fair. Again, it's one of those cards you need 30 of. So if you can average $2 a copy, I think that's fair. It is a common, so I'm hoping, pack after pack after pack after pack is shredded, and then you could buy 30 of them for $1 from one seller. But I digress. Again, that's one of those weird cards. I was wondering if it has. It doesn't have a really cool variant. It is a common. I didn't know if it did or not. But again, yeah, if you could buy these for $2, $1 would be ideal. But I could see you buying them for $2. You can even see the M14s for some beat up ones. Again, but like all these M14 ones, like this seller's got a gold mine here. $3.50 though, right? After ship, well, they're $2.50 and then you pay $1 for shipping. So again, you can buy $2.50 here for lightly played. So again, $1.50 I think would be ideal. $1 would be great. So this is a card that I don't know if it needed a reprint because it wasn't terribly expensive. It was for a while, but it just enables a lot of cool stuff in different decks. It is like, I think we're like one of the only official unicorn commanders. It allows blink strategies, does like some cool +1/+1 things, and it's in Selesnya colors. So Emiel the Blessed is interesting to say the least. Pre-ordering for $8. Again, I would pay a couple bucks for this card. $3, $4 I think is fair. And as for the borderless, I'd pay less than 10. Less than 10 I think is fair. It's very nice artwork. Again, all these borderless cards are fantastic. So I'd pay less than $10 for the borderless. Panharmonicon, going out to all my Yarok players out there and such, and things alike. Really nice with the borderless version. I know they have the Secret Lair alternate art foil, which looked very nice as well. But if you want a Panharmonicon now, you can get this really cool Secret Lair one for $22. But it looks like they're about $6 to $7 now. If you want a base copy, I think they'll settle at about $4. Maybe $5, and I think that's a good buy. I think Panharmonicon's a great card. Enables a lot of different strategies, very good synergies overall, very, very playable, and I think, $3, $4, $5 is a good sweet spot for a base copy. As far as a nice borderless copy goes, this specific model I'd probably pay in the realm of $15 for. I think that's fair. Again, just kind of overall good playability. Because I have a deck for it, I might pay a little bit more than somebody else, but 10 to $15 for Panharmonicon is all right. So kind of in the same vein as Anguished Unmaking is Assassin's Trophy. So the borderless one right here, I don't actually know what that artwork looks like. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But you can buy Assassin's Trophy for like $8, $9, $10 right now. In the same vein as Anguished Unmaking, if you can buy this card for between $4 to $5, I think that's a steal. Buy a couple, slot them into all your black and green decks. I just think it's versatile removal. It destroys, it is an exile, but it does only cost 2 mana. So I play these in my 5-color decks. They're just very versatile, low mana removal. Borderless version, 15, maybe $20. But again, creeping up towards 20, you can get this really cool Secret Lair version. So yeah, I would say $15 would be good. Again, it is a rare, so these are going to be pulled at a more frequent rate. In the same vein as my man, Shadowborn Apostle, as well as things like Dragon's Approach, you have your Thrumming Stones. This card was like almost $50 for a while. It got like a minor reprint in the list, so I'm kind of excited to see it here. Pre-ordering for $30 right now, not really selling. This is like a $20 card if I've ever seen a $20 card. Not 10 to 15 just because it is like very valuable and strong in the decks that it's strong in, but it is very niche. I think this also suffered from a scarcity thing for a while. But this is just a solid $20 card, maybe $15. I don't really see it going much lower than that. But it very well could. But again, you Relentless Rats or Rat Colony people, you're going to want this card because it's going to ripple and you're going to be able to cast a bunch of free spells. But like this is the $20 of $20 cards, maybe 15. And then just a little quick touch base on the bounce lands. So I Gruul Turf just kind of subbed in here for all of them. The artwork on these borderless cards are great. At the end of the day, they are bounce lands. They're not really as playable as they used to be. But they are very cool, and they do have their moments, and they do have their spots in decks. I want to pay more than like $1 or $2 for these, but they're very, very cool. Very good artwork. Again, for my Dragon people out there, Backdraft Hellkite. I'm not currently playing this, but it's something I have played on and off. Again, don't pay attention to the pre-order prices. Like this is a couple bucks at best. Very good card, especially if you lean heavier, into your instance and sorcery spells as opposed to more creature spells. Maybe you're playing a higher curve. Back kind of in the earlier iterations of my Dragon deck, I was playing, many less dragons than I was now, just because the dragons printed in the last year and a half, the curve has come down on them, but they weren't like that always. So this was, kind of a good 4-mana dragon. And then you got Green Sun Zenith, definitely needed a reprint, but 1 green and X, basically tutor for a green creature. I mean, I'm happy paying between $7 to $10 for something like this. Again, it is a rare, could settle a little bit lower, but $7 to $10 is a steal for something like this. And I could see all these cards going up over time without enough attention to them. Eternal Witness, uncommon, full art of the set. Again, this is one of the more frequently played cards in the format. It has spots on a lot of different decks, and it's cool to give it or see it in this full art treatment. Pre-ordering for about $14 right now. I don't see anybody buying that. a couple bucks. You know, I think you could buy a base model Eternal Witness prior to the reprint for like $3. I would imagine it'll be $1 for the new version, and again, $3 to $5 probably on this. And guys, that is it for my Double Masters 2022 kind of buy guide, right? You know, what cards am I looking at, and what would I buy those for, and what prices would I buy those for or look to buy those for? So hopefully you guys took something away from this video. I know it's a little bit different than what I usually do. It's not really financial advice. Again, it's just looking through the lens of just your average Joe who wants to get the best bang for their buck on the cards that they want for their deck. So, rounding out the video, I did want to talk about kind of upcoming videos and stuff like that. I did get a subscriber request for Tovolar Dire Overlord, so I want to work on this, but what I do want is some feedback from you guys. I do want to do a deck profile on this. This was a deck I was looking at upon release. I just never went through with this. So give me a thumbs up and a comment on the video if you want to see the deck profile on this. In addition, let me know what else you guys want to see on the channel. I know I do a lot of deck profiles and I haven't accumulated enough following to do, you know, Q&As and things outside of the box, but anything you want to see, put that in the comment box below. Any kind of videos you want to see, you know, maybe some of the products that I use as far as sleeves, deck boxes, and storage, how I store my cards, maybe how I organize my collection. Just let me know. I will put out any video if you guys will watch it. And that kind of is it, guys. Remember, like the video, subscribe, comment, and be sure to bookmark that TCG player link. Again, as always, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Have a good one.